So, on my way down into town, I took the seawall route because I knew that the main road would be full of potholes, and you'd be getting fucking dickheads just splashing you with vehicles, and just driving in on purpose and just laughing. So it wasn't really worth that. So I took the seawall, which was a shorter version as well. So the first place I stopped off, or that I came to, was Ramon's village. Ramon's was a great place. I'd met another diver down there, a little Christian guy called Marlon. I'd met Marlon at the gym. He was a little islander, very, very stocky, well-built little guy. Loved his bodybuilding, and he was a paddy instructor. And I met Marlon as I was walking down, and he invited me into Ramon's for a coffee. Ramon's was a great place. Their cabins outside were gorgeous rooms. They had a single room. They were all made of local wood. They all had thatched roofs, absolutely stunning. And there was also double rooms, and everything was brilliant. They had a little swimming pool, which was a freshwater pool, and the bar was real nice little square little bar, a little palapa, all thatched. They had their own security there. They had a great little dive centre. Again, it was all made of local wood with thatch roofs. It had a nice 150-foot pier, and at the bottom of the pier they had a little palapa, a little seating area with a thatched roof, and also they had a ladder that went down into 10 or 12 feet of water, which is where they took their students to teach them open water as well. So, sat down with Marlon, had a bit of a chat with him. He asked me how I was settling in, how the diving was going. Had great things to say about David. Again, David had been Marlon's instructor. Took Marlon all the way up to instructor from basic open water. He'd worked for David for a year, gaining experience on his dives and his orientations and everything else that he had to do. Taught in Dave's house classroom, did everything I did, basically, from making the coffee to cleaning up the tables. Basically a go for this, go for that. But it was a way of teaching you humility as well at the end of the day, but in a good way, because it's not nice cleaning up up after all the dirty fucking people who just leave a place shittier than when they find it. But it gave you pride in looking after your classroom. It gave you pride in yourself to know that you wanted the area clean, and that's how you presented yourself to the students who came in. So it was good all around. The only thing that I never did, thank God, was clean toilets, because if Dave had have asked me to clean toilets, I probably would have stuck his head down it and flushed it on him. So, but no, apart from that, you know, everybody starts at the beginning, and you learn a bit of humility. You do deal with some shitty clients. You do deal with some shitty students who think they know it all. They read a book before they came down, and that they're automatically the instructor. It never pissed me off, because I wasn't an instructor at that time. I was a dive master, and so it kind of taught me a bit of patience and how to deal with people. But with me, as everybody else, there's a line you don't cross. Okay, once you reach that, okay, the bullshit meter's full. That was it. I would put a stop to it in a second, and they would either comply, or they could get the fuck out and go somewhere else. You know, Dave, at the end of the day, didn't stand for bullshit, and I didn't stand for either. So, but it was good. It was all around. It was good. Marlon was a lovely guy. I ended up going on a couple of dives with Marlon later on, just to basically see how he did it. He was very quiet. Marlon was very soft-spoken, always had a huge smile on his face, always very well presented, you know, very well dressed, and he loved people. Marlon, he loved life. He was a great character. Him and I would train in the gym together at a later date, and he was just a magnificent little guy. After having a coffee with Marlon, the little cleaners came out and they started cleaning up the beaches, which was really good to see. I was walking into town, and there was a little old guy sitting on the beach, and he was carving he was carving little figurines, fish, horses, seahorses. He was absolutely brilliant. I'd say that this guy would have been in his 70s back then. He, obviously, you know, it's 2024 now, and that little guy's probably been planted, you know, in the local graveyard. I called him Pops. I never knew his name. I ended up calling him Pops, and I had bought several of his little carvings. One was a magnificent seahorse. One was a shark, a hammerhead shark, and the other was a Pegasus, a flying horse, which I'd asked him to make for me. And he was such a lovely guy. I would stop by every day I seen him and just drop him, you know, 5 or 10, 15 Belizean dollars, which was not really very much. And he was always thankful, always tipped his hat, and anytime he seen me, he would stop. He was a lovely guy. So getting into town was absolutely bustling with people. There was a grader, there was a tractor with a plough on the front of it, and one behind it, and there was a little local guy who would come out once the rains or the potholes got to be too much, and he would re-flatten the roads. There was 3 roads: front street, middle street, and then back street, and of course little cut streets in the middle. And it would take this guy, you know, a few days or probably a week to, you know, go around and make sure that the roads were flat again. There was no tarmac back then, you know, there was no pavings, there was no pavements, there was nothing. It was just a little desert island, absolutely gorgeous. And they had lorries which delivered the food and other bits and pieces. They had the local artisanal sailboats come in from Belize City, which was, you know, 35-40 miles away, and these guys would sail over with sand and dirt and bricks, and these guys would shovel everything by hand. Fucking size of these guys, some of them they were like bodybuilders, and really, really hard workers. And they would bring the construction materials onto the island, and they would spend all day just, you know, emptying the boats and stuff, cleaning the boats, maybe staying an hour and then sailing back again. They were hard working people, and I found that fascinating. And I would sit and get a coffee or a Coke, and I would just watch these guys do what they did. I ended up talking to one of the guys. They called him Rojo, which is red in Spanish, and this guy was not quite an albino or an albino. He had ginger hair, and his skin was between brown and black. It was like a red color, so they called him Rojo. And he was a monster of a guy. He was, 6'7", and an absolute unit. The guy blocked the sun when he stood in front of you, and he was a nice guy. Didn't really speak much English. Spoke patois, which is a broken Spanish English, but a really nice guy. Never rude. If you stopped to ask him a question, you know, he would stop what he was doing and he would try his best to explain to you what was going on. And a lovely guy. He could have entered the Mr. Olympia, this guy, and probably won it. And he was a really cool guy. I hadn't seen Rojo for a few weeks, and when the boat came back again, one of the local guys told me that he'd taken a heart attack and died, and he was only 27 or 28 or something like that. It was really sad news, and he had taken a heart attack and died while he was working. So never seen him again, and that was quite unfortunate. The people out there were lovely. They were a mixture of, you know, Chinese, you know, Black Caribbean slaves, Mexican, Maya, the Maya Indians, white. They were colourful, real colourful people, real colourful culture, and really nice people. The history was amazing, and I started to delve into the culture of the Belizean Maya probably a few months later. So yeah,